So, has anyone heard of the recent guidelines that have been passed to the judges that will come into effect from the 1st or the 2nd of April, connected to how the judges pass sentences on white Christians? Put your hand up. We are literally in this country about to enter into a two-tier legal system in which, if you are a Christian male who is white, you will be judged more harshly for the same crime as anyone else who commits the same crime. This has happened on Labour's watch, as a Quango has passed guidance to the judges in how they sentence people of different demographics. One that is rooted in a culture of intersectionalism, which is the guiding narrative of the progressive elites that have, over the last few decades, captured the institutions of the state and internationalized them for the purposes of their own international perspective. Labour was challenged on this by the MP Jenrick in Parliament. The Lord Chancellor of this country was not even aware that this guidance had been passed to the judges until she was asked a question in Parliament. And she said that it wasn't going to happen. But it is happening. Labour, either because of ineptitude or because of a Machiavellian politique, have decided to allow this guidance to pass when they could have stopped them by passing emergency legislation in our Parliament, which is the prerogative of the Cabinet to do so. Labour was caught at the wheel, asleep, whilst an apartheid legal system was both proposed and is now coming into effect. The only person that has stood up to this with any gusto was the Conservative MP Jenrick. I want to be clear that we have lost our understanding of equality under the law in this country because we have separated ourselves from our Christian heritage. The understanding of equality under the law comes from the doctrine Imago Dei, the image of God, that every man, woman and child is born with, apart from any other qualification or understanding of that person. They are born with it. It's not dependent on their colour, their class, or their religion. And as we have lost this understanding in our culture, that men and women are made in the image of God, we have lost the intrinsic value of the human person.
Can I make an intervention, please?
When I take questions shortly, yes. When I take questions shortly, yes. When I take questions shortly, yes. No, ladies and gentlemen.
Supporting an apartheid system.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Right? Why don't you talk about that?
Ladies and gentlemen.
They're supporting the apartheid system.
May Israel destroy Hamas.
Shame on you.
May Israel destroy Hamas, and may our country punish Islamist supporters like this.
You are Jewish and Christian ISIS.
No, ladies and gentlemen. No, ladies and gentlemen. Condemn Hamas. Condemn Hamas. There you go. Do you support Hamas? Do you support Hamas? There you go. He's just committed a criminal offence. There's the police. You all heard him say he supports Hamas. The police are right there. He's just affirmed it again. The police are right there. He's just said he supports Hamas. And the police will not do anything about it. In fact, right now, they're walking away because they don't want to enforce the law.
You want to establish.
You all heard him say it. The police are right there and they're walking away because they can hear my voice and they don't want to follow the law. And that's the problem with this country, is that we will not stand up to Islamists like this. This man should be punished. He should be kicked out of our country, and we should not tolerate Islamist dogs like this in our lands. Ladies and gentlemen.
In my country, you can't have Jewish caliphate in my country. You are a crazy
Palestine was never a country. It was a territory of the Ottoman Empire. Then it was a territory of the British Empire under a protectorate. There was never a nation state called Palestine. That is a lie.
Apartheid.
No.
Palestine. You're a moral.
For the record, I condemn Zionism when that Zionism leads to the persecution of Palestinians for their ethnicity or Christians for their religion. There, I said it. But he still supports Hamas. No. But the Jews have the right to a home, and they also have the right to security, ladies and gentlemen. Now, getting back on track. We have lost, ladies and gentlemen, our understanding of the value of each human person because we have lost our understanding of the image of God in our culture. This expresses itself in the fact that the sanctity of life has been eroded in our societies. We're aborting our children. We're now passing a suicide law that is demonstrating that liberals don't care about the terminally ill. And they want the terminally ill to stop being a burden on the NHS. We've seen the lack of the value of each human person, that we have created an international trade of children, where gay couples get to buy children like they would buy a pair of shoes. In the international surrogacy market should be made illegal. And now we have lost the understanding of the equality under the law. Your values are the basis of your laws, and your doctrines are the basis of your values. If you change the doctrines, you change the values. If you change the values, you change the laws. And that's what we are seeing. Liberalism is replacing Christianity. Do you like the fruits? Because Jesus said, you will know them by their fruits. Liberalism is antichrist. Liberalism is evil, and we Christians must oppose liberalism. Any questions? Any questions?
What that bloke there just now referred to a Jewish caliphate. I don't quite understand.
The irony is of that man. The caliphate is the idea of an Islamic ruler who, in our modern terms, we would interpret him like a dictator. He's the singular sole and highest authority. Not unquestionable, not unchallengeable, but he is nonetheless what we would call a dictator. The irony of our Islamist brother in humanity is that he said he supported Hamas. Hamas wants to establish an Islamic apartheid system. So when he complains about a Zionist apartheid system, he is only complaining because it's not his kind of apartheid system. Do you want to come and debate that? How's it gone? Oh, maybe I mixed you up with someone else. Sorry, my apologies. And so, let me finish this question. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the irony of Muslims who support Islamists complaining about a Jewish apartheid in Israel is that they are just complaining that it's the wrong kind of apartheid. They're not against apartheid in principle. They just want an Islamic apartheid, and they don't want the Jews to have their kind of apartheid. Let me be clear. As a Christian, I'm against all forms of apartheid. I believe in equality under the law for all. Everyone. But I do believe in a Christian state and in states that are governed by Christian values and Christian laws.